Inside this haunted house, the Barmy triplets celebrate their birthday by recreating the night they slaughtered their entire family. This is a complete deep dive into the 2024 Halloween Horror Nights haunted house, Triplets of Terror. For those of you who don't know, Halloween Horror Nights is an annual haunted event at the Universal theme parks that features multiple haunted houses, scare zones, and shows. Triplets of Terror was an original concept haunted house located at Orlando's Halloween Horror Nights 33. The haunted house was announced on May 24, 2024, and was the last original house revealed for the event. This was a bit unorthodox, as Universal Orlando historically would wait until the end of the announcement season to share information about the original haunted houses. At this point of the announcement season in late May, nothing was mentioned about the intellectual property houses, which are haunted houses based on existing media such as Ghostbusters, Frozen Empire. This seems like a much better marketing approach since it allows Universal to announce the shiny big IP houses closer to the actual event when the general public is building interest again for haunt events. Triplets of Terror follows the Barmy triplets who on March 3rd, 1984 slaughtered their entire family on their 9th birthday. Every 10 years, the triplets get together and recreate the events that occurred in 1984. At Halloween Horror Nights 2024, guests walk through the scenes of the 40th anniversary of the night the Barmy slaughtered their entire family, but who are the triplets? The triplets are Harmony, Melody, and Junior. Harmony is the shortest triplet who wears a bunny mask to hide her face. She's super jittery and makes gremlin noises when she pops out at guests walking through the house. Next up is Melody, who is taller and less energetic than her sister Harmony. Melody wears a mask made out of newspaper with a pointy nose. The final triplet is Junior, who's the only male out of the three. Junior is a lot more aggressive with his attacking style compared to his sisters. Junior wears a clown-like mask. The haunted house was located in Soundstage 24, which also housed Insidious the Further in the same year. The queue line started across from the Halloween Horror Nights tribute store, which, side note, would anyone be interested in deep dives into past tribute stores? Let me know in the comments. Anyway, for the queue, Triplets of Terror would start parallel with the Insidious the Further line on the right side. Guests would queue around in the back area of Universal Studios Orlando until reaching Soundstage 24, where they would enter the Triplets of Terror haunted house. Guests start their walkthrough in front of the Barmy triplets' childhood home. A police car is parked in the front with the siren lights on, shining onto the messy front yard to say the least. There's piles of trash cluttering the front of the yard all the way up to the front porch. It's hard to hear with all the screaming going on inside of the Barmy's house, but when walking by the police car, guests are able to hear the officer speak to another officer using the car radio. The conversation goes as follows. The dispatcher says, "What's your 1020?" to the officer in the police car. The police officer replies, "Dispatch, I'm at 3324 Wichita Lane responding to a noise complaint. I'll report this as a 1042. No backup needed at this time." For those of you who like Easter eggs and references, this house really emphasizes the number 3. For example, the address of the house is 3324 Wichita Lane, which 33 is for the event of the haunted house at Halloween Horror Nights 33, and 24 being the event year 2024. Of course, don't forget the biggest Easter egg of them all, the name of the haunted house itself is Triplets of Terror, which has 3 words in the name. Coincidence? I don't think so. Alright, I'm kidding, but as mentioned, the number 3 will be a common theme in this haunted house. Once entering the Barmy's house, guests enter a small hallway where a table is seen, with some birthday party hats and blowers resting on it. Around the table is more cluttered, and there's a sewed-on sign that says, "Welcome to the Barmy house." The next room is the triplets' 9th birthday party, which occurred on March 3rd, 1984, which, again, we have another 3 reference. March, the 3rd month of the year, and the date being the 3rd. The birthday party starts with 9-year-old Junior standing on the couch pushing his grandma's head into guests walking by. Wait, I know I'm slow on this, but I just realized this. The triplets' age is a reference to the number 3 again. Think about it. There are 3 of them. If you divide 3 by 9, you get 3. Crazy stuff here. When guests look ahead, they are greeted by Harmony, who in this case is not a scare actor, rather an animatronic. Yes, the arm is moving. The final triplet, Melody, is seen slaughtering her mom's throat while she screams, "Why would you do this?" Guests exit the Barmy house and enter the Urban Myths podcast room. On the left wall, there's multiple maps of towns where the Barmy triplets have done their slaughterings, as they recreate the events every 10 years. There's a podcast desk with no one present, but guests are able to hear the podcast in the background as they enter the 2024 section of the haunted house, which occurs on March 3rd, 2024. The podcast section of the house feels pretty pointless. I get the goal was to transition into the future after the events of March 3rd, 1984, but this is the only part of the haunted house we hear this podcast, making it feel like an afterthought rather than a core part of the story. It would be really interesting if we heard bits and pieces of the podcast in each room explaining what was going on in the story as the 2024 events occur in the past as guests walk through the Triplets of Terror haunted house. The next room is the kitchen, where the first victim of the 2024 anniversary slaughtering is seen, grabbing orange juice out of the fridge. We know this because a soundbite is heard of the victim saying, we're out of OJ, idiot. Moments later, Melody is seen jumping out from the left and stabs the victim in the back while screaming, "Mine," over and over again. The kitchen island is a complete mess with ingredients for an unfinished birthday cake scattered around. The victim also has his baseball gear resting on the kitchen island. As guests are walking to the next room, Harmony is seen waving a cleaver to distract guests from seeing Junior jump out with the mother's head in his hand. It's hard to catch when walking through, but the mother's bloody body is on the floor next to the door where Junior pops out of. Oh, for YouTube's sake, this is all fake. This is a haunted house, and the head and the body are just mannequin props, so don't flag my channel for inappropriate content. Anyway, guests then enter the laundry room, which starts in a short hallway. In this hallway, guests can hear a dog barking, and of course, this is all not real, but you can infer what unfortunately happened. The point of the room is once guests get to the actual laundry machine, an old lady jumps out, freaking out to distract guests, while Junior jumps out with a saw in his hand on the other side. However, if guests walked up while Junior was popping out, the way the laundry room was designed makes it appear as though Junior pops out of nowhere. Not sure if this was intentional, but great room design if it was. After all of this, guests walk outside of the house into the neighborhood. Above is fake snow falling down, but the joy of winter quickly fades as guests look down to the right and see a victim ripped up by a snowblower. Above the snowblower is a silhouette of Junior flicking the lights in the next victim's home. The woman says, "I turned the lights on." Junior responds by beheading her with a saw. On the other side of the neighborhood, Harmony barges out of the house across the street with a baseball bat taunting guests. At the end of the neighborhood section, Melody jumps out with a knife as guests walk into the next room, and in this haunted house is set up as a man cave. Inside is a plethora of man cave items such as a dartboard and a TV setup. The first thing guests see walking in is a rolling tool cabinet. Behind the cabinet is Junior, who pops out at guests, taunting them with a machete. After this, guests walk towards the TV in a man cave where the next victim is watching a news segment about the triplets attacks. Melody jumps out and attacks the victim with a chainsaw. In the background, you can see Harmony watching the attacks unfold. Guests then enter an alleyway, which is very random and abrupt. Yes, haunted houses at Halloween Horror Nights are only a few minutes long, but to go from a shed in a neighborhood to a back alley just makes no sense. Also, the triplets don't make an appearance at all in this section of the house. The only scare actor is a homeless man who has his guts spilling out of his body and jumps out at guests as they enter the next room. This feels like a filler room. If I'm missing something, please let me know in the comments. We meet the triplets again after the alley section in what appears to be a bakery. Guests run into Melody first, who is waving a cleaver. In front of guests is another small room where the head of the baker is seen with his knees on the ground as Junior's silhouette is seen beheading the baker. Harmony then runs out into the small room, dancing around with a bat in her hand. Guests enter the freezer of the bakery, and it's a sight to see. The victims of the triplets are lined up on both sides, and a deadly smell reeks through the freezer. The freezer then takes guests into the butcher shop, which I have never heard of a butcher shop sharing a freezer with a bakery, but I digress. Inside of the butcher shop are the three triplets. They are celebrating their latest birthday, and the party goers are the recent victims. Melody runs at guests with a buzzsaw, directing them to the birthday table where the victims are seated in front of 3 birthday cakes. Above everyone sitting down is the words "Happy Birthday" written out in the victim's intestines. Towards the end of the butcher shop is Harmony and Junior, who both jump out at guests. Then somehow guests walk into a sewer, and we aren't going to discuss the logistics of how that's possible, but the sewer is flashing blue and red lights to signal that the police are trying to find the triplets. Both Melody and Harmony pop out at guests, laughing as they try to run away from the police. The final scare occurs at the exit of the haunted house as Junior pops out with his machete. What are your thoughts of the 2024 Halloween Horror Nights Haunted House Triplets of Terror? Personally, I thought the haunted house was pretty good until the triplets left the neighborhood setting. Going from a shed man cave to an alleyway felt really out of place. Something that would be interesting to see is if Universal expands the story and we see houses and scare zones of each individual triplets and their backstories. If you haven't already, check out the previous Halloween Horror Nights video essay about the 2024 Haunted House Slaughter Cinema 2. Thanks for watching.